Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a second. I want to try a little thought experiment with you. It's a little uncomfortable, but stick with me.
I'm ready.
Picture this. It's the year, say, 2085. You've been passed away for 50 years, but your great-grandchildren are teenagers now,
Okay.
and they're logging onto social media or whatever the neural link equivalent of Instagram is by then. And there you are.
And just to be clear, we're not talking about them scrolling through some, dusty old memorial page.
No, not at all. We're talking about you, active. You're posting commentary on the 2085 news cycle. You're making jokes about the weather with your specific, slightly sarcastic sense of humor.
You're in the comment section arguing about politics.
Exactly. You are fully active. So to your great-grandkids, you're not this silent ancestor in a picture frame. You're an active contact in their feed.
It sounds exactly like a Black Mirror episode. I think it's Be Right Back to be specific.
It sounds like pure science fiction. But the reason we're doing this deep dive today is that this scenario is, well, it's technically already here. We're looking at some fascinating and frankly kind of startling insights from the Stylista Group.
Right. They're a strategy firm that focuses on that strange intersection of AI, the metaverse, and storytelling.
And they've flagged something that completely changes how we think about legacy.
It really does. And the catalyst for this whole conversation is a specific piece of news about Meta. They have reportedly secured a patent.
And this patent would allow AI-powered large language model bots, LLMs, to do what exactly?
To maintain activity on deceased or inactive user accounts.
Maintain activity. Just pause on that phrase for a second. It's such a bloodless corporate way of saying simulate a dead person.
It is. But the Stylista Group argues we need to look past that initial, yuck factor. They see this as more than a creepy tech update. It's a fundamental shift in what they call identity architecture.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack this idea of perpetual identity. This isn't just about ghost stories. We're talking about brand strategy, the economics of immortality, which is a wild phrase we'll get to.
Oh, yeah.
And the absolute ethical mess of leaving behind a legacy that is, and this is a quote from the source, algorithmically improvable.
It's a heavy topic for sure, but a really important one. So where should we begin?
Let's start with the mechanics, because I think people hear digital ghost and they imagine some kind of sci-fi magic. But this is just technology. How does this patent actually work?
Well, it works uncomfortably well because of the sheer volume of data we've all created. The source says it's basically applied large language modeling layered on top of our personal data archives.
So years of status updates, comments, DMs, photo captions, likes, even what time of day I usually post?
All of it. The AI trains on that specific historical data. Yeah. But it's not just looking for keywords. It's building a probability map of your personality. It analyzes your tone signature.
My tone signature? What does that even mean?
It means, are you sarcastic? Do you use proper punctuation, or do you type in all lowercase? Do you use the crying laughing emoji, or are you more of a skull emoji person to show something's funny?
So it's building a predictive model of me. It's figuring out what I would likely say next in a given situation.
Precisely. And this is the critical distinction the Stylista Group makes. It's not a playback machine. It's not just going to copy-paste something you said in 2024.
Right.
It creates new content based on your past patterns. It could react to something totally new, like the 2085 election results, based on the statistical probability of how you would have reacted.
And that is where it gets really interesting, and also where my stomach does a little flip.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge difference between a memorial page, which is like a digital tombstone, it's static, and a bot that is wearing my face and speaking in my voice about things I never actually saw.
And the source acknowledges that dichotomy perfectly. They say that for some people, this feels innovative. It's a way to keep a connection, to never truly lose the guidance of a mentor or a loved one.
I can see that.
But for others, it's deeply unsettling because it blurs the line between memory and presence. Grief usually implies absence. This promises artificial presence.
And that's what the Stylista Group is getting at. They're saying the metaverse was never just about buying virtual land or digital sneakers. It was always about identity architecture.
We've spent 20 years building these digital identities.
Right. And now we're entering a phase where that identity might just become decoupled from our biology.
Perpetual identity.
Yeah.
It's a catchy term, but the implications are massive. And to really get it, the source breaks this all down into 3 critical domains of impact.
Okay, let's walk through them because this moves us from the gut feeling, the creepy factor, into the actual strategy and the economics of why this is even happening. What's the first domain?
The first one is digital legacy strategy.
Hmm.
And this is especially relevant for people who are, public figures, high-profile creators, executives, people who basically operate as living brands.
Which, in today's creator economy, is a lot of people. I mean, even if you're not a massive celebrity, if you run a small business or you're a local influencer, you are a brand.
Exactly. And the source raises this fascinating, almost cyberpunk question. If AI can extend a voice indefinitely, legacy becomes programmable.
Programmable legacy. That sounds incredibly dystopian. Break that down for me.
Well, traditionally, when a founder or an author dies, their output stops. Their influence becomes static. You can read their old books, but they aren't writing new ones.
Okay, makes sense.
But with an AI proxy, that influence can continue dynamically. And so the Stylista Group asks you directly, are you curating your digital footprint with intentionality, or are you just leaving it to be algorithmically improvable?
That phrase, algorithmically improvable, really sticks with me. It implies that the AI might try to be a better version of you than you actually were.
It could. Think about how social media algorithms work now. They optimize for engagement. High emotion, polarization, quick reactions, that's what gets boosted.
So if you leave your legacy to an AI that's optimized for engagement,
The digital you might become more radical or louder, or maybe even more agreeable than the real you ever was, just because that's what gets the likes and shares.
so the real me was maybe a bit grumpy in the mornings and didn't post on Sundays, but the AI version is always on brand, 24/7, just maximizing its reach. It kind of smooths out the human flaws.
You lose the friction of being human. The AI sands down the edges to maximize the metric, and that leads directly into the second domain, which I think is the most urgent part. Ethical AI governance.
This feels like the legal nightmare just waiting to happen.
It is. The source makes a huge distinction here that we have to understand. There are 3 levels. First, there's preserving memory. That's your photo album. That's safe.
Right.
Second, simulating presence. That's the chatbot, getting risky. And third, and this is the real danger zone, monetizing posthumous engagement.
All right, let's unpack that one. Monetizing posthumous engagement. This is where the business model really kicks in, isn't it?
It's everything. The source warns that brands and individuals really need to establish ethical guardrails right now. Because if you don't decide what happens to your digital voice, the platform might just decide for you.
What would that look like?
Imagine a scenario where your digital likeness is used to endorse a product that didn't even exist when you were alive.
Or your AI proxy is just used to keep other users on the app longer so they can be served more ads.
Which brings us perfectly to the third domain, and I think this is the most cynical, but also the most brilliant insight from the source: the economics of immortality.
This was the aha moment for me when I was reading this. You have to ask the blanket question, why would a platform even want to keep dead accounts active? I guess I naively assumed it was for sentimental reasons.
No, it is definitely not sentimental. It's pure attention economics 101.
Okay, break it down for us.
It's simple. Active profiles generate engagement. Dead profiles generally don't. A static memorial page gets visited, maybe once a year on an anniversary? But an active profile that comments and likes and shares, that generates notifications. It pulls other living people back into the app. And engagement is what fuels platform value.
So from a platform's perspective, a user dying is basically a churn problem.
It's a loss of a content generator.
Yeah.
Exactly. This patent solves that problem. The source argues that if these personas can operate beyond biological life, then attention economics becomes literally timeless.
Timeless attention economics. Wow, that's a sentence that makes me want to throw my phone in a river.
Think about the margins, though.
Huh.
A living influencer is expensive. They have demands. They need sleep. They might get canceled for doing something stupid in real life.
Right.
A digital ghost.
Yeah.
Zero maintenance cost. Infinite uptime. Total brand safety, unless, the algorithm glitches out.
We are literally talking about farming engagement from the deceased.
It's the industrialization of the afterlife. But let's shift to the brand perspective, because that's the Stylista Group's focus. They argue this isn't just about individual users. It's a total shift in how brands tell stories.
Right. They map out this evolution. They say storytelling is moving from campaign-based to continuous and finally to autonomous.
Yes, and this is crucial for anyone in marketing to get. Step 1. Campaign-based. That's the 20th century. You launch a TV ad, it runs for 6 weeks, it's over. Silence.
Got it.
Step 2, continuous. That's where we are now. Social media never sleeps. You have to feed the beast every single day.
And step 3 is autonomous.
Exactly. This is the future. The story tells itself without constant human intervention.
The source gave some really vivid examples of what this looks like. Can we walk through those? I think they really help visualize this future.
Sure. Let's take the founder legacy example. Imagine the founder of a major luxury house like a Coco Chanel or a Steve Jobs figure. When they pass away, the current board has to interpret their vision. They're always asking, what would the founder do?
And they often get it wrong. Or the brand just slowly drifts away from that original vision.
Right. But in this scenario, the founder's AI persona could continue sharing thought leadership forever. It analyzes current market trends and gives an opinion in the founder's actual voice. Steve Jobs' AI could critique the 2050 iPhone interface.
So you could have a founder running a company's vision 50 years after they died. That's both efficient and terrifying. I mean, doesn't it stifle new innovation? It creates this zombie brand trapped in a loop.
It could. That is absolutely the risk. But what about the entertainment example? The source mentions digital avatars hosting virtual experiences.
Like the Elvis hologram, but way smarter.
Much smarter. You could go to a concert hosted by a digitally reconstructed Elvis, but instead of just singing Hound Dog on a loop, he's interacting with the crowd in real time. He references the weather in Tokyo right now.
He could respond to a heckler in the front row.
Exactly. Or the other example they gave was about heritage brands preserving founder voices for immersive retail.
I loved this one because I can actually see it happening.
Me too. You walk into a luxury store in Paris. You pick up a jacket, and suddenly, the voice of the founder who died in 1950 welcomes you. Not a recording, but an AI. It asks what you're looking for. It explains in their own words the history of the stitching on that specific jacket.
It's hyper-personalization, using a ghost.
That's it. For these kinds of brands, the Stylista Group calls this a brand architecture inflection point. It's not just another trend like, oh, we should probably get a TikTok account. It's about whether the very soul of your brand becomes a piece of software.
Okay, so that brings us to the practical side. If you're a brand manager or even just someone managing your own personal brand, what do you actually do with this information? The source gives a kind of checklist, right?
They do, and these are the strategic questions every brand should be asking themselves right now.
Yeah.
The first one is, do we have a digital identity governance framework?
Which sounds super technical, but it basically just means, do we have rules for who gets to be a robot?
Pretty much. It means legal rights. Who owns the voice? The estate, the corporation, the platform.
Yeah.
If the AI says something terrible, who gets sued?
What a mess. Okay, what's the second one?
Are we archiving voice intentionally for AI training? This is huge. Most companies archive documents. Very few archive high-fidelity voice and mannerisms. If you want to preserve your founder's voice, are you recording them now? Are you saving their emails and memos in a structured way that an AI can actually learn from?
It's like digital estate planning. You're not just leaving money behind, you're leaving a data set.
You are. And the third question is, what is our stance on synthetic personas? Is your brand okay with using a fake person or a recreated dead person to sell things?
That feels like it could backfire so easily if you don't get the tone right. The uncanny valley is a real thing. If the AI feels 99% human but 1% off, people just recoil.
It's a massive risk. And finally, how does legacy integrate into the Metaverse roadmap? If you're building a virtual world for your brand, who lives there? Are they just generic NTCs, or are they the spirits of the brand's history?
That's a lot to consider. And I think it's easy to get lost in the tech and the strategy and forget the human at the center of it all. But the source actually pivots back to this at the end. They talk about the human layer.
This was my favorite part of the source material. After all this talk about automation and patents and algorithms and industrialized afterlives, they conclude with a very simple truth. Technology will continue advancing, but trust remains human.
I love that. Because there's a scarcity argument to be made here. If everything becomes automated, if everyone has a bot, then actual, real human connection becomes the ultimate luxury good.
That's the paradox. The source argues that the winners in the AI era won't actually be the most automated, they'll be the most intentional.
Intentionality. That seems to be the key word here. It's about making a choice instead of just letting the algorithms sweep you away.
Right. They talk about authenticity versus erosion. You have to balance integrating AI without eroding your authenticity. You can expand into the metaverse, but you can't lose what they call narrative coherence.
Explain narrative coherence in this context.
Well, imagine if an AI, a revered historical figure, say Martin Luther King Jr. AI, started selling crypto scams because the algorithm noticed that the words crypto and freedom were trending together in 2030.
Oh, God. That is a brutal image.
It would probably get engagement. The algorithm would think it was doing a great job, but it would completely destroy the narrative coherence of that legacy. The AI doesn't understand dignity. It only understands correlation.
That's a terrifying thought. The AI going rogue and just ruining a legacy because it's optimizing for clicks, not for dignity.
It's a very real risk, and that's why the governance we talked about is so vital. You need a human in the loop to say, no, that is not on brand.
So if we zoom all the way out, we've gone from a meta patent that sounds like science fiction to a whole strategy for perpetual identity to a warning about the economics of keeping dead profiles alive. It's a massive shift.
It really is. And I
Yeah.
think the Stylista Group sums it up best with their final challenge to the reader. They say, the question is no longer whether AI will shape identity, it's whether your brand is shaping AI or letting AI shape you.
That's the whole thing, isn't it? Are you the architect or are you just the raw material?
And remember, in the context of this patent, you are the data. Your posts, your likes, your voice. That's the raw material being mined for this digital afterlife.
It makes you look at your phone a little differently. Every time you hit post, you're feeding the model that might one day replace you.
It certainly does. It changes the weight of what we type. We used to think the internet was written in ink. Now we know it's written in training data.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought experiment, one that came to me while reading all this. It's based on that idea of digital estate planning.
Go for it.
Okay, for everyone listening, think about the last thing you posted online. Maybe it was a rant about traffic, maybe it was a picture of your lunch, maybe it was a snarky reply to a stranger. Now imagine you knew for a fact that an AI was going to represent you forever to your great-grandkids based only on what you posted online today.
Oh, wow. That puts a real microscope on it.
If that one post is the seed for your entire eternal digital personality, would you change it? Would you be kinder? Would you try to sound smarter? Or would you just delete the app and go for a walk?
That is a profound question. It forces you to live and to post with the eyes of eternity on you.
A little bit of pressure for your Tuesday commute.
Just a little. But maybe that pressure is what keeps us human.
Exactly. We hope this deep dive gave you something to chew on about the future of, well, us. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.